The alien girl said, "I'm not your pet," then curled up in his lap. Today, his small exploration ship, the Horizon, drifted slowly near an uncharted planet. Its surface was rocky, jagged mountains cutting through thick clouds. Sensors showed no signs of intelligent life, but Elias had learned long ago that appearances could be deceiving. He adjusted the controls, scanning the terrain for unusual readings. Something had caught his attention, a faint energy signal that did not match any natural source. His brow furrowed. "That's odd," he muttered to himself. "Nothing should be emitting energy here." With careful precision, Elias guided the Horizon closer to the surface. A jagged valley opened beneath him, and at its center he saw it, the remains of a small spacecraft, clearly alien in design. Its surface shimmered faintly in colors he could not name, and parts of it had been scorched as if by fire. Yet it was intact enough that someone, or something, might still be inside. Elias felt a tingle of excitement. This was what he lived for, the unknown, the unexplored, the things humans had never seen before. Without hesitation, he suited up and prepared to descend. The valley was quiet, unnervingly quiet. He landed his small shuttle with careful precision, the metal feet crunching on the rocky soil. Stepping out, he adjusted his helmet's visor. The air was breathable but thin, crisp with a faint metallic taste. He approached the alien ship cautiously. The hatch was slightly open, as if inviting him in. Elias tightened his grip on the multi-tool at his side and pushed the door fully open. Inside, the ship smelled faintly of ozone and something sweeter, almost like flowers but heavier. Then he saw her. A small figure crouched in the corner. She was clearly alien, her skin shimmered like polished opal, shifting in soft colors under the dim lights. Her eyes were enormous, reflective, and full of cautious intelligence. Her hair, or whatever resembled hair, flowed like silvery strands that almost floated around her face. She was no taller than a human child, but her presence felt powerful, like a spark about to ignite. And then she spoke. "I'm not your pet." Elias froze. Her voice was musical yet firm, vibrating slightly as if it carried energy. Her wide eyes glimmered with defiance. I'm not going to hurt you," Elias said carefully, lifting his hands to show he was unarmed. "My name is Elias Ward. I'm human. I want to help." "I don't need help," she replied, her words quick, sharp, but not angry. "I can take care of myself." Elias took a slow step forward. "Maybe, but your ship, it looks like it crashed. You're hurt." She shook her head quickly, brushing at her shoulder where a faint mark glimmered like a cut in her iridescent skin. "It's nothing. I can fix it. Humans don't understand alien biology." Elias smiled gently. "Maybe not, but I do understand helping someone in trouble. Let me at least check you over, just a quick look." The alien girl tilted her head as if weighing his words. Then slowly, almost reluctantly, she stepped forward. Elias noticed how her movements were precise, controlled, and graceful, each step deliberate. "I'm Lyra," she finally said, almost under her breath. Elias' eyes widened. "Lyra, that's beautiful." Lyra's gaze hardened. "Don't say I'm cute or pretty. I'm not here for compliments." Elias chuckled softly. "Noted, no compliments." He knelt down to her level and studied her carefully. Her skin seemed to respond to the light of his helmet, shifting colors like a calm rainbow. She had small scratches along her arms and shoulders, and her energy signature was weak but stable. Nothing life-threatening, but she clearly needed rest. "I can stay here," Lyra said, stepping back slightly, her posture defensive. I just need some time to recover." "That's fine," Elias said. "I can help you with that. There's a safe place on my ship where you can rest, just until you're ready to go." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Safe, for humans maybe, but I don't trust easily." "I don't want your trust right now," Elias said calmly. "I just want to make sure you're not hurt worse than you already are, no strings attached." Her shoulders relaxed slightly, almost imperceptibly. "Fine, but don't touch me unless I say so." "I promise," Elias said. He extended a hand in friendship, which she eyed warily. Then, after a long pause, she took it, her hand delicate but surprisingly strong. Elias helped her walk toward his ship. She moved with a cautious grace, every step measured like a dancer. Once aboard the Horizon, Elias guided her to a small cabin he had prepared for unexpected visitors. He offered her a seat and some nutrient packs. She sniffed the packs suspiciously, then shrugged and ate quietly. "You eat differently than humans," Elias observed. Lyra glanced up. "And humans think differently than aliens, not news." Elias smiled. "Fair enough, but you're alive and you're safe here." She looked away, her gaze tracing the walls of the cabin. Safe, maybe, but don't mistake that for friendship. I won't, Elias said. But maybe we can learn from each other. That's a start. For the next few hours, Elias observed Lyra. She moved around the cabin, inspecting everything, touching surfaces lightly, her fingers leaving faint trails of color that shimmered in the lights. She seemed curious but cautious, as if every object might be dangerous. Then came a strange moment. Elias had been adjusting some instruments at the table when Lyra suddenly curled up on the floor beside him. I'm tired, she said quietly, not looking up. Elias hesitated, then sat down carefully on the floor. Lyra, after a moment of hesitation, rested her head in his lap. She looked at him, and for a moment Elias thought he saw vulnerability, a mixture of exhaustion and relief. You don't have to stay like this, he said softly. If you want space, I can move. No, she murmured. It's okay, just for a while. It was a small victory. Lyra had made a choice, and she had done it on her own terms. Elias felt a surge of warmth, not from pride, but from understanding. Trust was rare, and she had given him a small piece of it. Hours passed. Elias watched as Lyra's breathing slowed, her small body relaxing in ways she had not done before. He thought about the unknowns ahead, the alien technology, the mysterious powers she might have, and the dangerous space that surrounded them. Yet, for now, they were safe. Together, in a quiet room at the edge of known space, two beings from entirely different worlds were sharing a moment of calm. By the time the planet's twin moons rose above the horizon, Lyra was asleep, her head still resting lightly on Elias' lap. Her tiny fingers twitched as if dreaming, her skin gently glowing in soft pastel hues. Elias stayed still, not wanting to disturb her. He thought about how fragile and strong life could be, especially when it came in forms one could not understand. Outside, the wind from the rocky cliffs howled softly, carrying the scent of distant minerals and faint electrical energy. Inside, the warmth of trust began to grow between two beings who had only just met. Elias whispered quietly, more to himself than to her, I'll keep you safe, Lyra, just for tonight, until you're ready to face the stars again. And for the first time since her crash, Lyra allowed herself a small sigh of relief, letting the world settle around her. She was not anyone's pet. She was her own person. But in this small moment, curled up in the lap of a human who had promised no harm, she found something that almost felt like safety and perhaps the faintest hint of friendship. The night stretched on, filled with quiet stars and the soft hum of human technology blending with alien presence. The adventure was only beginning, and neither of them knew what challenges awaited beyond the horizon. But for now, trust had begun its fragile, glowing journey. And that was enough. The next morning, the twin suns of the planet rose slowly above jagged mountain peaks, casting long shadows across the rocky valley. Elias stirred in his small cabin aboard the horizon, careful not to wake Lyra. Her small form was still curled on the floor, her skin glowing faintly with soft pastel colors. Even in sleep, she seemed alert, as if part of her was always scanning the environment for danger. Elias gently rose, checking his instruments. The alien ship that had crashed in the valley remained nearby, its hull still smoldering in faint patches. Sensors showed no active life forms except for Lyra. Elias was intrigued. He had no idea what she was capable of, but he had a growing sense that she was not just fragile, she was powerful in ways he could not yet understand. After breakfast, he approached her cautiously. Lyra, he said softly, it's time to wake up. We should prepare for the day. Her eyes fluttered open, revealing the deep, shimmering hues of her irises. She blinked at him warily. Do I have to? She asked, her voice still tired but firm. You need to eat, Elias said, and we need to check the ship for supplies. I want to make sure you're safe. Lyra stretched, her body moving with graceful precision, then sat up slowly. I'm not going anywhere you don't want me to, she said, but don't expect me to follow orders either. Elias smiled. I don't want orders, I just want cooperation. For the first time, she allowed him to help her stand. She moved carefully, her small feet barely making a sound on the cabin floor. Elias noted the way her body seemed to respond to the environment, adjusting to every movement with perfect balance. It was clear she was both agile and observant, a combination that could make her dangerous if she wanted to be, and a valuable ally if she chose to trust him. They exited the cabin, stepping into the rocky valley. Elias led her toward the crashed alien ship. We need to see what we can salvage, he explained. There might be tools or supplies we can use, and maybe something to help you heal faster. Lyra's eyes narrowed. I don't need healing, I can manage. Maybe, Elias said, but humans work better together. You might manage alone, but why make it harder? She was silent for a moment, her gaze scanning the ship. Finally, she said, fine, but don't touch anything unless I say so. The interior of the alien ship was cramped but surprisingly well organized. Strange devices lined the walls, glowing with soft energy pulses that Elias could barely comprehend. Some seemed like tools, others like storage containers. He moved slowly, careful not to disturb anything. Lyra floated, or rather, moved lightly, alongside him, her fingers brushing over the controls. She muttered a few words in a language Elias could not understand. Then, with a flick of her hand, a small panel slid open, revealing a compartment filled with small, glowing orbs. These are energy cells, Lyra explained, her voice steady but cautious. They power the ship and can also store life energy, very valuable, don't touch them. Elias nodded, impressed. I won't, but can we test them safely? I want to understand them, not break them. Lyra considered him, then slowly nodded. Fine, but only one at a time, and you must promise to be careful. For the next hour, they worked together. Elias learned quickly how to handle the energy cells, following Lyra's careful instructions. She was patient but watchful, correcting him when he moved too fast or tried to guess what a device did. Despite her warnings, she explained just enough for him to understand the basics. As they worked, Elias noticed a change in Lyra. Her posture relaxed slightly, and though her words remained firm, there was a hint of amusement when he made small mistakes. She didn't laugh, her species seemed too composed for that, but there was a glimmer in her eyes that suggested approval. You're not completely useless, she said finally. Thanks, Elias replied with a grin. I'll take it as a compliment. Lyra rolled her eyes, but the corners of her mouth twitched almost imperceptibly. Later, they stepped outside to survey the surrounding valley. The air was thin but breathable, and the twin suns cast long shadows that danced across the rocks. Elias noticed strange energy readings coming from a nearby cliff. What's that? He asked. Lyra stepped forward, her eyes narrowing. A predator, not one of our kind, but dangerous. Stay close. Before Elias could react, a large creature emerged from the shadows, a four-legged beast with sleek armored plating and glowing eyes. It growled in a low, resonant tone, the ground vibrating slightly under its weight. Elias froze, but Lyra moved instinctively. She raised her hand, and a small pulse of energy shot toward the creature. The beast stopped abruptly, its body trembling as if confused by an invisible barrier. Elias was amazed. You did that? He asked. I can sense danger, Lyra said. And I can influence energy in small bursts. It's tiring, so I use it only when necessary. The creature retreated slowly, wary of the energy pulse, and disappeared back into the cliffs. Elias exhaled, a mix of awe and relief. That was incredible, he said. You really can take care of yourself. Lyra's eyes softened slightly. I told you, I can manage, but it helps to have someone else who isn't in my way. They spent the rest of the day exploring the valley, checking for resources and studying the alien ship. Elias learned more about Lyra with every passing hour. Her careful attention to detail, her refusal to let him handle dangerous devices alone, and her small acts of trust, like letting him carry some lighter supplies. As the twin suns began to set, casting a golden glow over the jagged rocks, Lyra finally spoke. I think I understand humans better now. You aren't all reckless. Some of you are clever and kind. Elias smiled. Thank you, that means a lot coming from you. Lyra shrugged, her usual defiance returning. Don't get used to compliments, I'm not here to praise humans. I wouldn't dream of it, Elias said. As night fell, they returned to the horizon. Lyra moved with surprising energy despite the day's exertion. She inspected the cabin, adjusted some equipment, and finally, exhausted but still wary, curled up on the floor again. Elias sat beside her, watching her carefully. You don't have to stay on the floor, he said softly. There's plenty of space on the couch. Or I can leave if you want privacy. No, she murmured. It's fine, I like it here, just don't misunderstand, I'm not giving in, not yet. Elias nodded, understanding. Trust was not something she could hand over all at once. It had to grow, slowly, carefully. And she had taken another small step. He watched her drift to sleep, her skin softly glowing in rhythm with her breathing. He thought about the day's events, the crash, the energy readings, the strange predator, and her incredible abilities. One thing was clear, Lyra was not just an alien visitor. She was powerful, intelligent, and capable of surviving anything the universe threw at her. And somehow, in the quiet moments of shared danger and careful cooperation, a bond was forming. Elias gently rested his hand on the floor near her, not touching, just close. It was a small gesture, a silent promise that he would not harm her. And though she didn't acknowledge it, he felt that she sensed the sincerity. Hours passed, the valley outside bathed in the cold light of the twin moons. Inside, human and alien shared a quiet space, separated by words, culture, and biology, yet connected by mutual respect and the slow growth of trust. Tomorrow, they would face new challenges. Lyra would begin to explore her abilities more, and Elias would continue learning about this incredible being who was neither human nor easily understood. But for now, in the calm of a safe cabin, trust had taken another step forward. Lyra, curled on the floor with her head just inches from Elias' lap, murmured softly in sleep. "Not your pet," Elias smiled quietly. "I know, and I wouldn't want you to be." And in that quiet, glowing room at the edge of known space, two beings from different worlds shared a moment that was rare, fragile, and perfect. The beginning of a partnership, of trust, adventure, and discovery, had quietly, unmistakably begun. The valley was quiet in the early morning, a soft breeze carrying the scent of rocks and distant minerals. Elias stood outside the horizon, checking his instruments once again. His eyes scanned the horizon, alert for any unusual readings. He had grown accustomed to the calm here, but he knew better than to trust it completely. Lyra emerged from the cabin, her small frame moving gracefully across the rocky surface. She stretched, her glowing skin shifting in soft hues with the morning light. "You're still checking those machines?" she asked, her tone curious but not unkind. "Yes," Elias said, smiling. "I have to make sure nothing else is coming." Lyra tilted her head, her large, shimmering eyes narrowing. "Humans worry too much," she said. "The universe is bigger than any one person." "That's true," Elias replied, "but sometimes being careful can save lives." For a moment they stood together, looking at the jagged cliffs surrounding the valley. The peace felt almost unnatural, and both of them sensed it. Elias knew humans often overlooked danger when it hid in plain sight. Lyra seemed to feel it too, her body tense, her senses alert. A sudden beep from Elias' instruments broke the quiet. He quickly checked the readings. Energy signatures, small but distinct, were approaching from the horizon. He frowned. "That's unusual," he said. "I'm picking up something alien, not from this planet." Lyra's eyes flickered. "I see them too," she said. "They are scouts. They are watching." "Watching us?" Elias asked, concerned. "Yes," Lyra replied. "They want me, they know I am here, and they do not like humans." Elias felt a chill. "Do you mean they're coming for you?" Lyra's gaze hardened. "Yes. I have encountered them before. They capture aliens like me for our abilities. You are not important to them, but because I am with you, they may come." Elias took a deep breath. "Then we need a plan," Lyra nodded. "Quickly." "Humans are clever, but they must follow my instructions." For the next hour, they prepared the valley. Elias and Lyra moved quickly, using both human and alien knowledge. He set up small energy sensors and defensive drones, while Lyra used subtle bursts of her own energy to create barriers that humans could not detect. "You must be careful," she said, her voice firm. "These aliens are strong. They are faster than humans and have sharp senses. They can smell fear." "I'm not afraid," Elias said, though he felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. "We'll handle it together." Lyra glanced at him, her expression unreadable. "Together, that is acceptable for now." By mid-afternoon, the scout ships appeared on the horizon. Sleek, dark vessels glided silently through the sky, almost invisible against the rocky cliffs. Elias' instruments beeped repeatedly, marking their approach. "They are cautious," Lyra said. "They do not attack immediately. They are waiting for a mistake." Elias studied the ships. "Then we won't give them one?" Lyra extended her hand, and a small pulse of energy moved across the valley. The air shimmered faintly, bending light in strange patterns. "They cannot see everything," she explained. "But if they get too close, I can push them back, only for a moment, enough for humans to react." The first scout ship descended slowly, its sensors scanning the valley. Elias held his breath. He could feel the tension in the air, the way even the rocks seemed quieter in anticipation. Lyra's fingers glowed as she concentrated, her body trembling slightly with effort. The scout detected the energy pulse and hesitated, moving back slightly. Elias breathed a small sigh of relief. "You did it," he said softly. Lyra's eyes did not leave the approaching ships. It is not enough, she said. They will learn from this. Humans must be ready to move quickly. Elias nodded. Then we need to be smart. I have an idea. He led Lyra to a nearby ridge, where the terrain gave them higher ground. Using the rocks as cover, he set up small decoy sensors, devices designed to mimic human movement. He also placed a few drones with lights that could distract the aliens. They will investigate anything unusual, he explained. It might give us a chance to strike first. Lyra watched closely. Clever, she said. Humans are unpredictable. That may help. The scout ships approached more carefully now, their sensors scanning every inch of the valley. Elias signaled to Lyra. Now! She released a small burst of energy, just enough to create a shimmer across the valley. The scout ships paused, confused. Elias activated the drones, their lights flashing in rapid patterns, drawing the aliens' attention. The decoy sensors beeped and moved slightly, creating the illusion of multiple human targets. The aliens hesitated. Then one of the scout ships landed farther away, sending smaller vehicles to investigate. They are cautious, Lyra said, her voice steady. They do not understand humans. That is our advantage. Elias nodded. We'll use it. For the next few hours, they observed and experimented. The aliens were curious but not reckless. Every move Elias and Lyra made seemed to confuse them more. Lyra began to show Elias how her abilities could interact with human technology. Small pulses of energy could amplify sensors, redirect signals, and even interfere with alien communications. You are learning quickly, she said. Perhaps humans are not as weak as I believed. Elias smiled. I told you, humans can be clever when we need to be. As night fell, the aliens finally retreated to their ships, hovering just beyond the ridge. Elias and Lyra were safe for now. Lyra's energy was nearly depleted, and she collapsed lightly on the ground. You should rest, Elias said gently. I'll keep watch. I am not helpless, she murmured, though her breathing slowed. But thank you. Elias sat beside her. You're welcome, and you don't have to thank me, just trust me a little. Lyra hesitated, then allowed herself to relax. Her head rested near his lap once again, her body glowing faintly in the moonlight. I do not fully trust yet, she said quietly. But you are different. That is acceptable. Elias nodded. That's enough for now. The night was long. The wind carried the faint hum of the distant alien ships, but Elias and Lyra remained vigilant. He thought about the day's events, the scout ships, Lyra's powers, and their careful coordination. It was clear that she was not only powerful, but also intelligent, cautious, and capable of teaching humans much about the universe. And in return, he had learned something important, that humans, even small colonies like theirs, could face challenges far beyond their size. With clever thinking, cooperation, and courage, they could stand against threats that seemed impossible. Hours passed. Lyra stirred occasionally, shifting her position slightly but never fully leaving his side. Elias watched her carefully, noticing the subtle signs of fatigue and stress. He understood that she had been through much in her life, and though she claimed independence, she needed moments like this, quiet, safe moments. By the time the twin suns began to rise again, Lyra was awake, her eyes scanning the horizon. They will return, she said softly. I know, Elias replied, and will be ready, Lyra nodded. Humans may be worth trusting, not fully but enough for now, Elias smiled. I'll take that, it's a start. Together they began preparing for the next phase. They would need to gather supplies, study the alien technology, and find ways to protect the colony. But for now, they had survived the first threat beyond the stars. And in doing so, they had learned something vital. That cooperation between human and alien, trust and cleverness, could overcome even the most daunting challenges. And for the first time, Lyra allowed herself a small, quiet feeling of companionship, not dependence. Not surrender, just a shared understanding that in this vast, dangerous universe, two beings from different worlds could face it together. The adventure was far from over. The scouts would return and the challenges would grow. But Elias and Lyra were ready, not just as human and alien, but as partners, each respecting the other's strength, intelligence, and independence. And as she curled up lightly near his lap, Elias knew that trust, once earned, could become a powerful force, even in the cold, endless reaches of space. The twin suns had barely risen when Elias and Lyra noticed the alien ships approaching once more. This time the movement was different. It wasn't cautious. It was deliberate, organized. Several large vessels moved in formation across the rocky horizon, their sleek black hulls reflecting the pale sunlight. The alien scouts from yesterday had returned, and they were not alone. Lyra's skin shifted to a darker shade, a sign Elias had learned meant heightened alertness. "They are serious this time," she said quietly. "They have brought warriors. They do not come to observe, they come to capture or destroy." Elias felt a surge of determination. "Then we won't let them, not here, not now." Together they ran through the valley, inspecting the small defensive systems they had already put in place. Sensors were online, drones ready. Barriers powered by Lyra's energy flickered faintly across the rocks, almost invisible. Elias felt a thrill of pride mixed with tension. Humans might be small, and their colony barely advanced, but clever thinking could turn the smallest advantage into survival. "They will try to overwhelm us with speed," Lyra said. "They will test every barrier, every sensor." "You must stay calm. Humans often panic, and that is dangerous." "I won't panic," Elias replied. "I have you, and I have the humans I trained." The first alien ship landed roughly a kilometer from their position. Small vehicles deployed from it, moving quickly toward the valley floor. Elias counted them. 5, then 10. Each carried a figure in sleek armor, clearly alien, moving faster than any human could run. Lyra's eyes glowed faintly as she extended her hands. A pulse of energy erupted across the valley, forming a shimmering barrier. The approaching aliens stumbled slightly, as if their movements had been slowed by an invisible wall. Elias whistled softly. "That's amazing." "It uses my life energy," Lyra said quietly. "I cannot keep it long. You must act." Elias quickly positioned drones along the ridges. Their lights flashed in patterns designed to confuse the attackers, while small decoy sensors made the aliens think there were many more humans hiding than there actually were. The aliens paused. They were intelligent and cautious, analyzing the unexpected strategy. Lyra whispered, "Now humans must act. Use everything you have. They cannot anticipate cleverness." Elias signaled to the human team, who had gathered quietly nearby. Using improvised traps, energy nets, and strategically placed barriers, they began to maneuver the attackers. Every move was deliberate. The humans lured the aliens into tight corridors, forcing them to slow down, while Lyra released pulses of energy to confuse their sensors further. Despite their smaller numbers, the humans' strategy worked. One by one, the attackers began to falter, slipping on rocks, avoiding traps, and misjudging distances. Elias moved among his people, giving directions and adjusting the traps, while Lyra's abilities amplified their effectiveness. "Your people are clever," Lyra said quietly, almost in admiration. "I did not expect such strategy. I underestimated humans." Elias smiled, focused but pleased. "You'll see, humans can be clever when they have to be. And when we work together, we can surprise even the strongest opponents." The battle raged across the valley. The aliens tried to adapt, moving more cautiously and using devices to detect energy patterns. Lyra countered with pulses of her own, precise and timed perfectly to disrupt their coordination. Elias' drones flashed and beeped, drawing the attackers into traps. One of the alien warriors attempted to bypass a trap, moving too quickly to be slowed by the barrier. Lyra reacted instantly, releasing a pulse that slowed its movements, giving Elias time to use a magnetic net to capture its legs. The warrior struggled, but the net held. Elias ran forward, securing the alien with human ingenuity rather than brute force. "You humans are unpredictable," Lyra murmured as she watched. "Perhaps that is why I am impressed." Elias' heart swelled with pride. The humans, small and seemingly weak compared to these aliens, were holding their own. It wasn't brute strength, it was strategy, intelligence, and courage. Humanity's ingenuity shone brightly under pressure, a force the attackers had not anticipated. Hours passed. The aliens, frustrated and surprised by the humans' resourcefulness, began to retreat toward their ships. They had underestimated the combination of human cleverness and Lyra's alien abilities. Finally, the valley was quiet again. Dust settled over rocks and debris, and the humans took stock of their small victory. No lives were lost, and the aliens had learned something important about the species they had intended to dominate. Lyra walked toward Elias, her skin softly glowing in the fading light. She stopped and looked at him with an expression that was difficult to read. "You humans are more capable than I believed, perhaps worthy of trust, not fully but enough." Elias smiled warmly. That's the best compliment I could ask for. Lyra rolled her eyes, but a faint smile tugged at her lips. Do not mistake this for friendship, she said firmly. I am not giving in. You don't have to, Elias said softly. Trust is enough. Later, in the quiet of the night, Lyra curled up on the ground again, her head resting lightly near Elias' lap. The glow of her skin illuminated the cabin with soft colors, blending with the gentle lights of the horizon. You let me win, she said quietly. Or survive. Or something like that. You humans use cleverness, not force. That is new to me. Elias laughed softly. We can be small, weak, or underestimated, but intelligence, courage, and teamwork, those are our strengths. Humans have always survived because of them. Lyra considered his words. Perhaps that is why you are worth noticing, even to an alien like me. Elias reached out carefully, his hand hovering near her. He did not touch, respecting her space. We survived together, he said. And I think we'll survive many more challenges if we continue to work together. Lyra's glowing eyes softened. Maybe, yes, but remember, I am not your pet. I am my own person. And I wouldn't have it any other way, Elias said. The night passed in quiet companionship. Outside, the twin moons rose slowly, casting silver light across the rocky valley. Inside, human and alien shared the calm after the storm, understanding that victory had not come from strength alone, but from clever thinking, trust, and careful coordination. Elias thought about the events of the day. The aliens had tested them, underestimated them, and learned a valuable lesson. Humanity was not weak. Humans, small and seemingly fragile, could outthink and outmaneuver even the most formidable opponents. And with Lyra's abilities, their potential was multiplied. For Lyra, it was a revelation, too. She had encountered many species across galaxies, but humans, these clever, courageous, and surprisingly resourceful beings, were something entirely new. She did not yet consider them friends, but she had begun to understand that their strength was more than physical. It was in their minds, their hearts, and their will to survive. By the time the twin suns rose again, Elias and Lyra had repaired some of the minor damages in the valley and reinforced their defenses. The aliens might return again, stronger and more prepared, but humans had proven that intelligence and cooperation could change the outcome of any battle. Lyra finally spoke as she rested near Elias once more. You may be worthy of my trust, not fully, not yet. But enough to survive, together. That's all I need, Elias said softly, smiling down at her. Together. And as she curled up lightly against him, glowing faintly in the early morning light, Elias felt a surge of pride, not just for the victory, but for the humans he represented. Clever, brave, and adaptable. Humanity's true strength was not in weapons or ships, but in the minds and hearts of its people. And with Lyra by his side, they were ready to face whatever the universe would throw at them next. The valley was quiet again, but Elias and Lyra knew that the danger was not completely gone. The aliens had retreated, but they would return, stronger, faster, and more prepared. Elias looked at the horizon, the twin suns casting long shadows over the rocky terrain. We can't relax just yet, he said, his voice calm but determined. Lyra stood beside him, small but powerful. Her skin shimmered in soft shades of blue and silver as she observed the valley. I understand, but humans are clever. You have shown that. You can survive, perhaps even thrive. Elias smiled. That's the plan, and we're not alone, are we? He gestured to her. Lyra's eyes softened, but she quickly looked away. I am not here to be your ally, she said firmly. I am here to survive, but working with you is efficient. Efficient is good enough for me, Elias replied lightly. He could feel the weight of responsibility pressing on him, but he also felt pride. Humanity had faced impossible odds before, and now they were doing it again, this time with an alien by their side. The next day, they began fortifying the valley. Elias led the humans in constructing barriers, underground hiding spots, and clever traps designed to slow down any incoming attackers. Lyra moved among them, teaching subtle ways to use energy in small, controlled bursts to enhance the human technology. Do not overdo it, she warned. It drains me, and if I falter, you will not be ready. I understand, Elias said. We'll work carefully. For days, they trained and prepared. Humans learned to move quietly, communicate through subtle signals, and coordinate with Lyra's abilities. She demonstrated precision energy pulses that could disable machinery temporarily, and humans learned to use the resulting openings to their advantage. Then one evening, the aliens returned. This time, it was a full-scale attack. Larger ships descended from the sky, dropping armored units across the valley. Their numbers far exceeded what Elias and the humans had faced before. Lyra's skin darkened, her glow brightening in anticipation. They have learned. They are stronger, faster, and more organized. Humans, this will test everything you have learned. Elias nodded. We're ready. Stick with me, Lyra. We'll do this together. The battle began at twilight. The valley erupted in flashes of energy and strategic movement. Humans ran along prepared paths, triggering traps, confusing the attackers with clever maneuvers. Lyra's energy pulses disrupted alien sensors and slowed key units, giving the humans precious seconds to act. Despite the overwhelming numbers, humans held their ground. They did not have the strength to fight directly, but their intelligence and careful planning gave them an edge. Drones flashed lights, sensors beeped to mislead the aliens, and the humans used natural cover to avoid direct contact. Lyra moved swiftly among them, her hands releasing controlled energy bursts that toppled enemy machinery or created temporary barriers. She glanced at Elias. Your people are learning fast. I am impressed. Elias smiled, heart racing. That's humans for you. We may be underestimated, but we don't give up. Hours passed. The aliens adjusted their tactics, trying to find weaknesses, but each plan met new traps and unexpected maneuvers. Humans and Lyra worked as a team, anticipating moves before the aliens could make them. Every mistake by the attackers was exploited with careful precision. Finally, the tide turned. One by one, the alien units were delayed, trapped, or forced back into their ships. Their commanders realized that the humans were not easily defeated. The combination of human cleverness, preparation, and Lyra's alien abilities had created an impossible challenge. One massive alien ship attempted to hover above the valley to crush the defenses from above. Lyra raised her hands, releasing a massive pulse of energy. The ship trembled as invisible forces bent around it, making it unstable. Elias and the humans had prepared for this exact moment. Strategically placed traps combined with energy pulses forced the ship to retreat. The remaining aliens, seeing their forces falter and their leaders unable to act effectively, began retreating in disorder. The valley was quiet once more, but this time the victory felt complete. Humans had not only survived, they had outsmarted a far stronger enemy. Lyra collapsed to the ground, exhausted but glowing faintly with soft pastel hues. Elias knelt beside her. You did it, he said softly. We did it. I assisted, she said, her voice weak but steady. Humans are clever, perhaps more than I believed. I underestimated you before. You don't have to call it cleverness, Elias said gently. You just have to accept that humans can do amazing things when we work together. Lyra glanced up at him, her large eyes shimmering. For a moment she seemed vulnerable, tired, yet satisfied. Then she slowly curled up, this time fully resting her head on his lap. I do not fully trust, she said quietly. I am not yours, I am myself, but I feel safe with you. Elias reached out, lightly touching her shoulder, careful not to overstep. That's all I need, he said. Trust, not ownership. We face the universe as equals. For the first time since her arrival, Lyra allowed herself to relax completely. The danger had passed, and she was surrounded by beings who respected her abilities, her independence, and her choices. She was not anyone's pet. She was a partner, a friend, and a vital ally. Over the next days, the humans worked to repair the valley and fortify the colony further. Lyra helped them, showing subtle improvements and teaching them ways to blend their technology with her energy abilities. The humans listened, learning quickly, and the bond between Elias and Lyra grew stronger. It was no longer just survival. They were beginning to understand one another. One quiet evening, after another long day of preparation and repair, Lyra approached Elias. I have decided, she said softly. I will stay here, not because I am yours, but because I choose to. Humans are not as reckless as I believed, and you are different. Elias smiled warmly. I wouldn't have it any other way. Lyra rolled her eyes lightly, but allowed a small smile to tug at her lips. Do not mistake this. I am still independent. I am still myself, but perhaps you are someone I can trust. Elias laughed softly. Trust is enough. I don't need more than that. That night, under the twin moons of the planet, Lyra curled up beside him once more, her small body glowing softly in pastel colors. Elias kept a gentle hand nearby, not touching unless she allowed it. For the first time, both of them felt a sense of peace, not permanent, not unchallenged, but real. They had faced impossible odds. Humans had survived against a far stronger alien force through intelligence, courage, and careful planning. Lyra had witnessed the strength of human ingenuity and adaptability, and she had chosen to stay, not out of dependence but out of respect and understanding. Elias looked at her, his heart full. "You are amazing, Lyra, and humans, we are lucky to have you here." She glanced up at him, her glowing eyes reflecting the moon's. "Do not overpraise me," she said lightly. "I am capable, but I will stay, and together we will face the stars." And in that quiet moment, as the valley slept under the soft light of the twin moons, human and alien shared a bond born of survival, respect, and trust. They were not master and servant, nor pet and owner. They were partners, equals facing the universe together. The adventure was far from over. There would be more challenges, more mysteries, and more enemies beyond the stars. But for Elias and Lyra, the bond they had forged would be their greatest strength. For humanity, cleverness, courage, and the willingness to work together had once again proven their worth. And for Lyra, she had found not weakness, but partnership, in a species she had once underestimated. The valley was quiet now, but the stars above promised new adventures. And with a small alien girl curled gently in his lap, Elias knew that the future, full of unknown dangers and wonders, was something they could face together. In the vastness of space, where danger could come from anywhere, trust, cleverness, and courage would always shine. And tonight, humanity had proven once more that it was not to be underestimated.